everyone, it's me Blanche and welcome to Feast in the Middle East. And oftentimes when I cook, I usually emphasize the same sort of Middle Eastern or Mediterranean ingredients, but I never really talk about ingredients that I will never ever put in my kitchen because they are so toxic. And sometimes they're even marketed as healthy, especially to the vegan community. I'm wholeheartedly on the side of whole foods. I don't care what you call something, if you call it vegan, if you call it whatever, if it's full of toxic ingredients and processed ingredients, it's not coming into my kitchen or my cooking. So behold, let us start with the 6 foods, actually it's more than 6, but 6 categories of food that I will never put into my kitchen right here on Feast in the Middle East. Let's start with the first category, and that is processed vegetable oils. I'm talking about canola oil, corn oil, safflower oil. All of these oils are heavily processed in factories using extremely high heat. Now, this high heat raises the amount of omega-6s in these oils, which causes a lot of inflammation. Not only that, but canola oil, soybean oil, as well as corn oil are usually 90% GMO, which means that from the inception of the seed, the pesticide has been built into the seed. So these oils are laden with heavy pesticides. And another thing that's wrong with these oils is they're then treated with chemical solvents like hexane, which is a neurotoxin. So do I want a neurotoxin, heavily processed, omega-6 filled vegetable oil in my cooking? Hell no. So what do I use? I use olive oil for my cooking, and for my baking, I'll use butter. Simple as that. Simple is best. And if you want to get really extra fancy, throw in some avocado oil. Category number 2 you will never see me cook with, and that is mock meats like the Beyond Meat burger and the Impossible burger and all of that nasty toxic sludge that they form into patties to market to the vegan community. In my opinion, this should be criminal. I will never use any of these meats in my cooking, precisely because many of them have at least 15 ingredients. Most of them are not even recognizable in nature, so why would I put them into my cooking and feed my family this stuff? They also have questionable ingredients like textured vegetable protein, which is also another name for soy, which is highly processed and usually GMO. They usually also have heavily processed canola oil or corn oil or soybean oil. I don't care how much seasoning, I don't care how much it's like the real thing. If I'm going to use a vegetarian or vegan option, I'd much prefer using lentils or chickpeas that have been soaked to make falafel, for instance, or hummus, but I'm not going to go anywhere near that processed sludge. Number 3, I will never put fake cheeses into my cooking. Fake cheeses like Diet, for example, that's one brand. Because again, we come back to the processed oils. These cheeses are, the majority of these cheeses are made with these oils, these hexane treated oils, and they might have a bit of pea protein in there or some almond waste in there that they glom on together with these oils. I'd rather just do without the cheese or add a little bit of like feta cheese or Parmesan, like a little bit of cheese that goes a long way. Maximum flavor without having to use too much. And that's really the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet is not really heavy on cheeses. We don't put a ton of cheese in our stuff. Maybe in dessert like kanafa, for example, but for the most part, we don't use a ton of cheese in our cooking. We use like little sprinkled amounts, or we might eat Greek yogurt, for example, because we really love that on the side or like over rice dishes or something like that. So fake cheeses, I will have nothing to do with that stuff. The next ingredient I will never use in my cooking is Crisco, like for baking, for making pies. I know many swear by it by making extra flaky crusts, but really Crisco is just trans fat in disguise. They won't admit it, they won't put it into the nutrition information, but anytime you have partially hydrogenated oils in anything that you buy, chances are it's filled with trans fat. And that goes for chocolate frostings as well, like the kind in the can. I mean, whenever you see partially hydrogenated, stay the hell away. Number 5, another ingredient you won't find me using is margarine, for the same reason why I don't use Crisco. Now, margarine has a nasty aftertaste. It is plastic food as far as I'm concerned, and fortunately, it has fallen out of favor, and people seem to prefer regular quality butters over margarine. But they have a lot of, vegan like butters. Just make sure when you read the label that it doesn't have partially hydrogenated oils. Again, they try to disguise these as health foods, but they're far from it, especially when these oils have been treated, again, with chemical solvents, and they have these fats that withstand a crazy amount of shelf life. And if something lasts on a shelf forever, you don't want it lasting in your body forever either, right? Number 6, I will not use artificial sweeteners in my cooking like Splenda or aspartame or Sweet and Low. Many of you probably already know that these are basically chemicals disguised as sugar. They actually increase your appetite. I'd rather use whole food sweeteners like coconut sugar or date syrup, for example. And if I really do want a sugar-free option, I might go crazy and use maltitol syrup, which you've seen me use before in some of my recipes, or stevia, which is about as natural as you can get as far as sweetening your food. And for many people, they have found that it does not really increase their glycemic load. So especially if I'm cooking for diabetic members of my family, I stay away from these artificial sweeteners and either use a little bit of whole food sweetener or use something more like stevia. Finally, another ingredient you'll never see me use in my cooking are like Cool Whip or Reddi Whip for cakes or frostings or mousses. They're that whipped up sort of artificial cream. And what they do contain are mono or diglycerides. Now, mono and diglycerides have escaped the FDA as being labeled as trans fat, even though they are basically trans fat. So I'd much prefer just getting some real whipping cream and just beating it until soft peaks form and using that in my cooking. It just takes a little bit of extra work, but the taste, the flavor, and the health value is so much better than just buying the Reddi Whip or the Cool Whip. Not to mention, when you eat trans fat, not only is it carcinogenic, but it also causes that extra luz or fat that none of us want when we eat our food. Now, luz, by the way, is Arab terminology for like baby fat. So yeah, Cool Whip, Reddi Whip equal luz. Got it? That's it for ingredients you will not find in my kitchen. Now, if I've left anything out, please let me know in the comments below. I'm sure you might have suggestions of ingredients that are an absolute no-no in terms of any health value. And yeah, I'd like to hear from you, so leave it in the comments below. And for recipes, healthy whole foods recipes, you could just visit my channel. I have multiple playlists here laid out for you. You could also go to feastinthemiddleeast.com, and I am coming out with my cookbook really soon. So please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.